Hi, I'm Dafina Smith. I am founder and CEO of Covet in Maine. Today for our Academy 101, we are here with celebrity stylist, fashion and editorial stylist as well, Ro Morgan. Welcome, Robbie.
Thank you so much for having me.
So excited to get started today. This is beginning our Academy 101. This year, we are doing more content it goes a little bit deeper, behind the art of being a hairstylist. And this month, our theme across the brand is falling in love with the craft, the artistry of being a hairstylist. And I think that one of the things that is part of being a really good artist is always evolving and kind of setting up new challenges for yourself, thinking of ways of evolution for your craft. And so I know I speak to so many of you, and I know that what your career represents and what you've been able to do with your career is a dream for so many of our stylists. So I'm going to, this is Ro Morgan. We have worked with him. We've been so lucky to work with him and with different celebrities that you've worked with. You've also been educated with us. They were concealed by Covet in Maine. He also styled my wig today. I want you to audaciously brag for us for a while, like your close friends. I want to hear, this is your brag book. The highlights of your career, a little bit of your story in your own words.
Hi, everybody. I am Ro Morgan. I started in hair. Well, I graduated from beauty school. Let's go to the beginning. I graduated from beauty school in 2011. And upon graduating, I moved to New York because I knew this was the place to be, coming from Detroit, Michigan. And I started at a salon, which I feel like is the best preparation for anyone, a salon. You learn assisting, you learn coloring, you learn cutting, you learn working in a team. There's so much, it's a great start in a salon. And so that's where I started. And then when I moved here, I was an assistant at a salon on the Upper East Side for 3 years. And then I embarked on my own as an artist at another salon, having my own chair. And that was Neil Farina in Brooklyn. I worked there 2 years, and through there I met every model in the industry. I started working with different celebrities. And I just loved it. I fell into hair, and I just realized that I had the personality for celebrity.
Okay. Speak a little bit more on that, but I'm going to reserve that later.
Okay.
That's a really good point. But I want you to you're not bragging enough. Tell us. And it's not just cool you work for, but we were talking earlier about having the ability to, travel to India or, go with Naomi Campbell and Venus Williams, just brag a little.
So I got swept in celebrity. So my first big celebrity was Naomi Campbell. I worked with her for 3 years. I traveled the world with her. I was able to go to Asia, Europe, Africa. I got to experience and see people that I've never been able to see. I ran into models like Joan Smalls. I did Cecily Lopez, who was, they become close friends. Garcelle Bouvet, who's a Beverly Hills housewife. Patina Miller from Broadway. I got a very well-rounded career in the girls that I do. From magazine covers, I have British Vogue covers. I have GQ men's covers. I have W. I worked with W. I've worked with Edward Interfo. I've worked with Pat McGrath. I've worked with so many great legends that I've been blessed to work with. I guess I could brag more, but
I do feel and not to put you on the spot, but I think a lot of us have that tendency to just keep our heads down and work.
Yeah, we do.
And we don't realize how inspirational your story can be. So sometimes it's just this is a space I would love for, any of these moments. What was one of those pinch me moments for you that you had?
The pinch me moment, I guess, because he's no longer here, is one of my trips to Nigeria was a private plane, and who was on that plane was Mr. Andre Leon Talley. And I don't know, I think Naomi, that was one of the first trips, he went private with her. She wanted him to experience that. And so to be with him and his Louis Vuitton luggage on a private, you're Andre Leon Talley, to be able to experience that in the rooms that I've been in, with Janet Jackson, with Gabrielle Union, like it's, like those pieces are just mind blowing to me.
Well, and that's what's so amazing about our industry is like you can be a young guy from Detroit and you have your tools and you're in a salon and like the world is just
The order's yours.
possibility. Okay, so tell me a little bit more about your early career, you said that you assisted. Were you in more about the departmentalized salon? Were you, how did you navigate knowing? Did you have that intention of like, I need to be at this particular salon in order to
Get to where I needed to be? Well, yeah. So I went to fashion school. I went to Michigan State and majored in fashion. So I was on the computers when we were doing like our artwork, and I was watching. I always loved runway shows. If anybody know, they used to call me the model whisperer because I used to know every girl's name, what she did, what country she was from. And so I used to study the girls. I remember watching Cecily and Joan and Chanel, Iman walk. And next thing you know, I was looking up what salons they went to. And so when I came to New York, every girl, it was 2011, every girl from the top to the bottom went to Amoy Couture Hair. And she was known as the extensions specialist. And so through that, I went to interview at that salon. I tried to move to New York before, and it didn't work out. I was here for 4 days and I had to go back. And so this time when I came, my mom was like, no, you need to have a job first. And so I came out here with my portfolio, interviewed at the salon, and then I got the job. And so then I was able to move at Amoy. And so that's when at that salon, Joan went to that salon, Naomi went to that salon, Jessica White went to that salon, Chanel Iman went to that salon. Amoy was known for doing Mary J. Blige. Like she was known for doing celebrities, and I knew I could assist here and work my way up.
what did you get from being able to be an assistant for a while, and how long were you an assistant for? Like what skills did it really allow you to like perfect and craft the most?
The skills that allowed me to perfect and craft the most was you're able to watch someone. So you're able to stand in the shadows, see their mistakes, see their strengths. So with that, it taught me, I started to work on things that maybe I wasn't good with, which was like patience.
Okay.
Studying the client, learning how they wore their hair from start to finish. I really love shampooing hair. And so that's how it relaxed the girls and, get information out of them or make them feel comfortable with me. Because as an assistant, people are there for the head stylist. And sometimes you could be just a side person. They may not even know your name, but I wanted to be remembered. And so I gave the best shampoos that they could ever think of. And so sometimes when the lead stylist was busy, well, can I book with him? That became my opening. Like, can I book with him? And then a lot of stylists give you pieces to trust you. So for example, if it's extensions, you have to shampoo, braid it down, sew it in.
Yeah.
So I worked my way up. So first it was just shampooing. Then I'm gonna have Ro braid you. And then they began to trust me with the braids because they weren't too tight. They weren't pulling their hair out. Then it was like, I'm gonna just have him sew the bottom rows in, And then that became, I was working my way up and I'm gonna just have him fix your closure, and that. So I just really worked my way up, improving myself. And the skills that I've learned was how to be professional, how to talk and treat people, it was an Upper East Side salon, so how to cater to their needs. It was some women, I was walking down the steps and also hailing a cab for them, and it was I was wanting to, what can I make this service a little bit more special? What can I do to set this person off a little bit more? So they were can I order you lunch? Would you like this or would you like that? I wanted me to be a little bit different than the other assistants.
Yeah. And in terms of, I wanted to circle back to what you said earlier about the emotional, the personality traits that you find are necessary, that served you. I mean, I think everybody kind of finds every pot has its lid. So if you're in Nashville, it might be a different personality profile than someone who might work with more artists that are like me. And Houston, whatever. What have you found for you has been the keys to the personality traits and whether like soft skills?
I just want to say being pleasurable and I think it's mainly going back to my customer service skills, because I was a double major at Michigan State, fashion and retailing. And so I really loved servicing. And so the personality traits that you have to kind of have is not to say like you're a servant, but you have to realize you're there to help someone achieve the look that they want. So what are the components that I can add to make this as smooth as possible? Those are some things that I've picked up in there.
I completely agree with that. And it's interesting that I come from a fashion background as well, and was a buyer at Bloomingdale's first, and a lot of that like old school department store, like putting on a show for people, clienteling, having a book, remembering, these are like out of the way, and I feel like it's so sad because in a lot of ways we've lost that with like so many department stores closing, and all of that. But it's interesting when people take things outside of our industry and like weave it into, what they do now. So what was like, so you were at the salon and then you went to Neil Friend and you were there. So you were in a salon for like, am I putting this together, about 3 years total, or is it 5 years?
So it was 5 because I assisted 3, and then I took on clients at Neil's for 2 years. And then from there, I mean, most people know about the Sweets Solar Salon.
Yeah.
So I worked at the one on 34th Street. I wanted to go out on my own.
Remember that?
And it's still there, but I wanted to go on my own. And it was 2016, seats were like a thing. And I remember believing in myself. I had to acquire the clientele to maintain myself. And so I rented a suite, and I was there for 2 years by myself. The only reason I had to stop being in the suite is because my clients wanted me out. My session styling had picked up way more than salon work. So I wasn't there. I was paying rent, but I wasn't there. That's when Naomi got me. It was like 2017. And so from there, it was like, I wasn't there because it's home. I began to see home visits, and clients were like, oh, just come to my home. And now I'm here.
So, okay, so you 5, I mean, you look like a baby. So I'm like, I don't know how you were doing 5 years. But I think it's an interesting thing in terms of patience. I think a lot of times people will see, and you see this, people have been saying a lot with music, is like it takes like 10 years for somebody to become overnight star. It's like a lot of this compounds. So I have just a real question for you, like financially, like how did you bridge that gap when you were just getting started in terms of, I mean, it's expensive and hard to come to New York. I'm also from the Midwest. I know it's like we started getting prices for everything. So how did you manage those early years financially to allow you the opportunity to still pursue what you wanted to do?
Mm-hmm.
Was that never a problem for you?
No, it was. I wasn't like, a trust fund baby or anything. I came out here, and I had roommates. Luckily, I had friends who came before me. They came like a year before me. So when I moved here, it was easier for me. They may have struggled a little bit, but it was easier for me because I was able to stay with them, pay low rent.
Yeah.
Like they taught me the ways of New York. Like, oh, you got to take the train, less about lunches. We'll cook food and pitch in. And it was really like establishing a community.
Yeah.
So when I first came here, like now my friends are in LA and Atlanta and in Europe. But before, it was a community of people. And we really just helped each other out to help, like cover costs for other people. When I was up, you was up, And so we just didn't let each other fall. And that's very important.
Yeah. No, and we were talking earlier about the value of community, just even today for you as a stylist. Can you talk, and I'm kind of jumping all over the place, but you were mentioning how important it still is to you to have those. Can you speak a little bit more?
Well, like, it's very important. As a hairstylist, you'll see it in, if people try to create competition, me and my friends wouldn't allow it. So I need other hairstylists. I'm a hairstylist, I'm gonna say it again, and I need other hairstylists because I can't do everyone. So I need someone I can refer people to. That's why people are like, oh, he's following me, like he's another hairstylist, he's following me. It's because I admire your work. And I might need to refer someone to you. I see that you specialize in, I know you can do everything. I see you specialize in braiding. I see you specialize in blowouts, you in cuts, in color. And I refer my clients to other people because, it's this thing, if we're going to go back to the salon, people have this thing of my client, my client, my client. But I learned the salon rule of the client is only yours when they're in your chair. The minute they're up for grabs. So I wasn't possessive like that. Like, I don't own any people, you know, and so the community of people I needed were, you know, makeup artists and other hairstylists and stylists. And they saw how, wait, you're a little different. So they would refer me jobs and other things that I wasn't stingy or selfish, you know. So your community really reflects, you know, the type of work that you can get.
Yeah. I think that's such a under discussed thing that I see even across, outside of hair. It's like the makeup and styling is like you end up building teams that work together and can help put each other on. So when did you transition from, and speak a little bit more about like working, getting booked directly by the client that was more like a celebrity at that time. And then what was that like, and how did you manage pricing? How did you manage your time, travel fees? Like, can you talk a little bit about that structure of how you were going direct first?
Yes. So when you usually do that and you are unprotected from an agency, you make a few mistakes. You may cut yourself short because you feel like, oh, this is a celebrity. Yes, it's an honor to work with them, but you have to realize who you are because it's also an honor for them to work with you. And when it came to pricing, I wasn't completely in the blind because I had mentors who I've assisted. That's why assisting is important, because you can have a mentor. But it was a roadblock that I kind of knew because my mentor at the time, Mr. Jimmy Paul, the great Jimmy Paul, his agent, Susan Price, really helped me out.
Okay.
But she helped me with I was able to see what she was charging and the age. I was able to ask her questions freely.
Okay.
Which isn't always the case. You can have a mentor who isn't necessarily on your side or want to see you thrive because they need you sometimes to stay in that certain place.
Yeah.
But I was blessed enough to have people who wanted to see me pushed forward. And when it came to pricing, you kind of just have to know what to ask and who to ask. So a lot of times I want to say other artists you may not want them to know your pricing or they don't want you to know the pricing. So what I said at the first, I maybe can't ask another hairstylist. Let me do somebody comparable, makeup artist. Like, what is your rate for 2 hours? What is your do and go rate? What is your full day rate? So they wouldn't feel threatened. Another hairstylist, I didn't necessarily want them to feel threatened by me wanting to know their business. So a makeup artist is like, oh, you're not really competition for me. I can, share this with you. So when it came to pricing, I would literally ask other artists.
So that's super helpful feedback. Asking another makeup artist or people in similar things and also being okay, understanding you're going to make some mistake, the process. When did you know that it was time to get an agent and get representation, and how did that appear? How did that come up for you?
I kind of knew it was time for me to get representation. You kind of know when it's overwhelming. I know sometimes when you can't manage the billing side and the artist side. And I know a lot of people don't want to, I don't want to give my percentage to anyone. Me, I'm not doing billing and invoicing. Like, you want this percentage? It's fine. But that's usually how it goes. But mine was a little bit more unconventional. I kind of signed to an agency to get rid of a client. I knew this client would not want to go through an agency. So I literally was just fed up and I was like, I'm taking meetings. And the first, agency that I happened to, which was, I'm looking back like, wow, because it was the Wall Group.
Which is, an incredible they're incredible. They work incredible. Variety of them, and they're just by far the depth and the nationalism that they represent.
It's amazing. So that was my first agency, and I was so fed up. But how can I say this?
What was making? See, I want to know.
But it can be when you're working with certain clientele, maybe you're working with one, they can become demanding in a sense where you can't keep wait, how many jobs did I work? Did I send the billing in? And that's when it became a thing you start to work with different rates that you don't know. It's not just a doing a rate or a photo shoot full day rate. It's like little commercial things. Cause that's when when other clients are paying, you have to give the the right rate. Cause I want to be honest, when you're doing a client and she's like, oh, it's out of pocket, you do not want to try to rip her off. I know you may think she's a celebrity and she has all this money, but she doesn't necessarily. They will tell you that you kind of want to help. They'll help you when someone else is paying.
Yeah.
When other, like, let's say another CEO or somebody's like, oh, I cover your glam. That's when they're like, charge up at the wazoo. Not to abuse it, but you kind of want to know with your clients, like, oh, this is a personal rate. I don't want to charge you too much because I know bigger can come.
Yeah, they're almost investing in their personal brand to give a look, but hoping for the payoff of a commercial or something that has because those budgets are when.
Yes, the commercial budget. Yes, exactly.
Well, and I think a lot of people don't realize that, and I'm sure that's probably why you had so much success. Is understanding, having great understanding, because I think people don't realize with celebrities, everybody we hear, and athletes, and you hear the public number. It's unfortunate, but that's the top line number before taxes, before agents, before managers, before they're trained. There's some of the expenses and overnight, and they have many months with zero sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. So when you were looking for representation, did you have guidance in terms of people saying, like, ask for this, or, this is what to be careful of. This is how to, take best use of it.
I did. I had a light or a few tips that were given. But like I said, I was really fed up with the clients. So I was just like, whatever. Like, I knew at first you don't want them to take, over 20% or something like that. But you want to know, like, what are they going to actually do for you? Some agencies are literally sitting there and they want to say that they're your agent. No, they're your booker. They're really only replying to emails. If that's how quick are they replying to emails? What rates are they negotiating? Because you want to think about rate negotiation. Some agents, it seems like they're booking you, but they're taking the lowest rate. They're not like, wait, this is this time. Are you including Ubers? Because some things like that's included. Or what about meals? What's the time of day they're working? When you're going into an agency, you want to make sure that your interests are best looked into. And some of them are looking at they're a company as well. So sometimes they may look only, covering their side of it.
Yeah.
But you want to make sure, like, your percentage, try to get a low percentage if you can, and all the things that they do and can do for you.
And it's negotiable. A lot of these things are negotiable, which I think a lot of times you feel like this awe, but it is a real relationship. And I also think what I've observed is a lot of to be a real agency nowadays, you have to have strategic partnership. You do. And finding new creative ways to make money other than just doing the client's hair.
Yep.
So there's building you as an influencer,
yeah.
corporate partnerships. Have you found that to be something like, what has surprised you as like a revenue stream of being represented that you maybe didn't think about going into? Just like doing the client hair.
Like when it came to money coming to me, well, I can see why people are like, I'm not doing hair no more. I'm gonna be an influencer, because my first award season, like it was great. Like, it was, with Io Edibiri. And when a girl is the it girl, the brands will find you and throw money at you. So, like, some like that one, when you think about the rate, that's why when I say like a lower rate, because you get that client and the thousands you can make off of sponsorships from them, like, you like, girl, I might just do you for free, but award season sponsorship I was like, wow.
Yeah. Because there's not a lot of opportunity anymore where the world is looking at everyone at the same time. So these award shows, I think people just think about just doing the client's hair, and it's just a part of
small part. Yeah.
So we have a question.
The other question, do you have a certain way you charge celebrity guests versus in salon guests, or you charge the same prices and add travel time?
No. So when I became a celebrity stylist, my salon clients, I never, let's say, got rid of them. because those becomes the clients, because you're known for celebrities, those become the clients you can start new styles and practice new things on it because they trust you as this industry expert. So my salon clients, they're like, do whatever, but they would still get a lower rate. Salon, like, because when you're doing the celebrity, you're going to them, so you have to think about the time, like you said, travel time, Ubers, but usually it's a locked in rate for 2 to 3 hour session. So that can be something locked in, and it should be a little bit above because you're going above and beyond out. You're going to them, they're not coming to you. So it should be definitely inflated.
How do you manage that? It's like juggling when you have your salon clients who are kind of like your bread. Well, I mean, for some people it's bread and butter, but I don't think enough people talk about like you still need salon clients. But then you have to have a certain type of salon client because then something can come up and you're being called for a Sports Illustrated cover and they have a big event the day that you were supposed to go. So how do you manage juggling those balls of the bread and butter clients and then being able to take advantage of big opportunities? To me, seem a lot of times last minute, but I could be.
No, you're very correct. And it's, at first it's like juggling them. You're like, I'm going to say this. This is a quote from my mother. I'm going to help you guys I want you to make new mistakes. Don't make the mistakes I made. So like, if you're going to make mistakes, make new ones. And in that time, you're so excited about your celebrity. You don't want to mismanage and mishandle your salon client. To be honest, and if you're watching salon clients, I'm so sorry to some of you. I lost some of my salon clients because I chose the celebrity over them. And then next thing you know, the celebrity may stop working with you. And that salon client who was faithful has gone away. So a lot of times I would alert them, maybe have an email system, and some of my clients did fall off, but some was like, we're rocking with you. So some will fly and flex and bend with you. And then some, life is too unstable for me. So you kind of just have to be communicative to your clients. Keep that line of communication. Oh, this, has come up. Can I move you? Can I work with them? It's times where, because it's Sola and it's 24 hours, I've gone to Sola at 2 a.m.
Okay.
Because I'm when you're doing models, especially at the time, black models came to get their hair done before shoots, unfortunately. And so I couldn't break that with her. She had a casting the next day. I have to put this weave in her head. And so I just will have to, lose sleep a little bit and be a little bit more flexible. But I tell people, do not mismanage your salon clients. Be communicative with them and let them know this option may come up. But you are still a priority to me.
Now, do you ever have, because I used to live in LA and my stylist was a celebrity stylist as well. And she had somebody that was her partner of okay, he's who I can let you go to. And I always went back to her, but it was within. Do you have any relationships like that? How have you managed those and how do you find and nurture those?
So that's when I said, other hairstylists, I need you. And so I met a lot of my friends when I started to do fashion week and fashion shows. Those are people who, have the same kind of gumption as you and want it as bad as you. So I stay connected with those people, and those are the people I refer them to. And that goes back to the community. You have the Covet in Maine is a community. I did take the class and I met so many great, amazing stylists that I can refer people to, and so your communities are very important. And so I still have my community that I can refer people to, or an assistant. You train up an assistant, someone who can, do something comparative to you and maybe offer a lower price, but make sure your client is comfortable with them. Don't just put them on them. You have to make sure your clients are comfortable with them because personalities have to match.
Yeah. So true. Now, in terms of getting your, let's talk about the assistant, and then I have another question for you. But do you have an assistant?
No, I do not, because I have a thing. Assistants deserve to be paid well, and so I came up in the era where we might not have got paid well, but because we just wanted it. But I didn't want to bring on anyone that I couldn't make sure was taken care of. This is not the same economy where we can just keep doing free work. So I don't have a permanent assistant. I do get independent contractors, now and again. I'm always looking for new assistants and people I can pour into. So that's what it is, basically. And and I don't have a permanent because I think they really need consistent work. And most of those, if we break down hair, there's different avenues. So if you're doing fashion, you may be getting a bigger budget and you can maintain an assistant with a salary. And, you know, when you're doing celebrity doing goes, I start to work with less assistants because celebrities are very private. Or extra people in the room, you know, like you don't know who's, and now people always have their phones. They don't know if they're recording you. I give privacy. So if you look at my Instagram, you don't even see like befores and afters as much of my celebrities. You don't see me invading their space. A lot of times I'll wait for them to post a picture because you want to know how they edit them too. You know, like people are funny, you know, so that's fine. They're funny about their face. So I used to wait till my client posted it and then I would take it from her. I wouldn't try to do it raw or edit it myself if I know she likes her face a certain way, you know, or her hair, you know, a certain way. And so it's really comes to that.
Okay, that's an interesting perspective. Because I was wondering, how do you balance that when you have salon and also travel or all of that? But does the agency help you in terms of being able to book assistants when you need for roles that they're booking you for?
Yes.
Okay.
So what happens is, which is how I also got started, you start reaching out to the agencies of the people, to the artists where you like, let's say you love, you know, Chris Appleton's work, you know, or you love my work, or you love Lacey Redway's work. What agency is she on? You call to get on the assistants list. And so there's a roster of people who call the agency. And so when I tell my agent, oh, my assistant who I work with all the time is not available, could you find me an assistant? And they will.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good to know. So being a versatile, well-trained celebrity stylist, it was interesting to me that you got really hands-on with concealed and learning hands-hide method. And then prior to that, it seems like you started in traditional stylings. And I know you also do wigs. So and we talked about you started working with the coveted tape. So kind of speak to me walking through, like, what must you know to really truly be in the celeb editorial fashion world? Like, what is one thing that you must have of all the ones that we've kind of laid out?
The one I want to say you must have, I want to say if you have a base of clip-in extension,
Okay.
you know, which is, you know, like I always talk about the Covet main instant clips. I love those because you can take the wefted and then just make clips right there. I would just say like your knowledge of placement of hair.
Okay.
So whether it's taped, clipped, sewn, you know, how does the hair look naturally? How should it flow naturally? How is the placement? So if anything, that's what I would like.
Okay. Okay. And how do you learn? Like, how did you learn that?
It was my teacher, my mentors who taught me that. It was a lot of trial and error. Salon client, you know, how does that, you know, being communicative and asking, how are your extensions when you know, 2 weeks later, 1 week later, which is also what I learned here at the Covenant Main Academy with Lilibeth, like to see how to talk, establish price and clientele, like that helps me on session styling as well. So everything that I learned here with Lilibeth and Jackie, like it was really informative to what I kind of already knew, but it also added that other layer.
Yeah.
You know.
No, and it's such a conversation. You're working on a project. It's creative and they're collaborative, so you have to understand how they're going to experience it. Mm-hmm. Where did you learn? Tell me a little bit more about like how you learned on wigs and like what role do wigs play in your booking?
Well, at the time, you have to kind of do what you do to get through. And I really learned, you know, sometimes the stereotype of who you are gets you thrown in. I don't know if it's because I'm Black. They thought I knew how to work with wigs, so I did it. I knew how to work with extensions, but I didn't let that stop me. So I had a client, I literally didn't know how to work with the wig. I looked at it, turned it inside out, studied it, like kind of like notice how it was, because I would have to sew, like at that time we were sewing in like the elastic bands.
Okay.
You know, and things like that, and how it could fit. How could they put it on and make it fit? So sometimes you will put seams. And that's when my fashion background kicked in, because my mother was like, you know, I didn't pay for you to go to school in this waste, but my sewing ability, I know how to tailor and alter. So that helps with wig fittings and wig caps, because a lot of them, they're big in the back, they're bunchy, but I can cut it, make a seam, and make it fit instantly, you know? So, sorry, what was your original question?
No, what? And then you answered it. It's just, to me, I think what's so interesting about your experiences is that how much education is on the fly. And it's having important salon relationships and clients that you can test things out on, friends who can put you on and stuff. But it is also a mixture of being in like something more formal, like our classes, but then also just being willing to like learn while you're on the path.
I agree.
So that's your intuition. Where does this evolve for you? Like, where do you see, like, what do you want to do in 10 years? Is this the rest of your life for you? Or do you kind of see you maybe evolving more to having a line or a wet line or like,
Well, I understand.
what are your thoughts?
Mike, I've been doing session styling, and I don't know what it is, but I'm craving the salon again. And to be able to be young, experience the world, and then to be able to, because people used to ask me all the time when I was doing sessions, oh, do you want a salon? Do you want a salon? I'm like, not right now. I'm going to Asia tomorrow, To me, owning a salon was a way for me to retire. It was a way for me to get my name out there, make it big, and then train, which is, I don't know how education became like a thing that I wanted to start maybe going into, but really educating the next generation, because we've gotten so attached to wigs. Certain people aren't taking care of their hair, and I think we need to go back to hair care. And so that's why I think I want a salon. I want to show people how to shampoo hair properly, how to, cut and treat clients properly, and just go back to that.
Yeah, you're such a student because you joined us on one of our lives that we did with Dr. Safahi on just a dermatologist about hair loss and, and just always being a student of what's going on. And I do think for the whole, we were just talking about this as well, is like, I love extensions, I love wigs, but I also love healthy hair. And I think that, finding that balance of being able to still have clients who feel good about their hair, they treat extensions like as an accessory, not a necessity.
Yes.
And so, that's always like, like how do you bridge that gap? And do you find, like, how do you, with celebrities, like, encourage them to take care of their hair, take breaks from extensions? Like, how do you manage that?
That's something you can do actually as an up service. If you work in a salon, I know this is, because with celebrities, you have to kind of just put Band-Aids on everything. Not to say like extensions are Band-Aids, but it's like, well, my hair is thinning. Well, we got to put some clip-ins here for today. Like, or let's fluff this up.
Yeah.
But that's the way you can upsell. Like, well, in your spare time, or maybe on the weekend, or when you're not filming or, recording, why don't you come into the salon and I can give you a treatment? But there's a lot of times you talking to them and educating them while you're styling them. Like, they don't know everything about hair. And it's just like, well, did you know, using your cosmetology knowledge and really, talking with, a lot of women are going through hormonal changes. That's a way for you to like get that in there and upsell, and make a connection with the client. Because I've had clients that I wasn't able to connect with, in a sense.
Yeah.
Because even with celebrities, you're dating still. It's like you're dating. The sessions are dating. It's not a relationship yet. You're still kind of dating.
Yeah.
And with that, like I said, it's just mainly talking to them and selling and talking to them about their healthy hair.
Yeah. And they're women and people just like anyone else. So there's a lot of a variety of things going on. For a stylist who is already in the salon, and wants to do more celebrity work, how do you suggest they get started? Like what, and so much has changed from when you started. So what, say, people ask me advice for stuff. I'm like, so much has changed. So what I did back then is I don't know if it applies now. But today, what would you advise them to get started?
There used to be like a gatekeeping thing back in the day. Like you had to assist to get the exposure, but you don't now because of Instagram and TikTok. And I knew celebrities who was just like, oh my God, I love her. Like, and they would DM people directly and get them, or DM to their account, but it would be like a manager or something. But they started reaching out directly. And I think it's really your portfolio, which now is basically Instagram or TikTok or your website. So it is a little bit different. So I would just, like, back in the day when I was coming up, now it's content, but technically it was content before when we were, let's do a test shoot. You have an idea, you have a vision, produce the shoe. You know, that's why the community is important. It's community. It's because you will have your makeup artist brand who was, you know, on the same level as you or a little bit above if you want to, you know, really put the, you know. And then you have your stylist friends and your photographer friends. And those are the people that carry you because, you know, historically, when we think about a Stephen Meisel, a Pat McGrath, a Guido, and a muse like Naomi, that's a team.
Yeah.
An Edward Interfold, you know, they worked together. Their level of work was this because they constantly were in community with each other, discussing ideas, discussing trends, you know.
It's so true. And I feel like people don't realize the power. We talk about community and there's room for everyone. Not enough people realize for creative, they usually have, like, I have friends in film and television. They work with the same writers.
Yeah.
They have their friend who's a DP. They have directors, and they have their talent they love to come together with. And that constant collaboration is so important because you're only as strong as your weakest link.
Yes.
So you could be doing amazing hair, and you don't have a good makeup artist to know how to.
Yep.
It falls apart. I think it's I feel like that's what I love about what you said is just like how much community has served your goals and knowing when to give and when to receive.
Exactly.
In terms of social media presence, like what's one thing that you wish, like if you were mentoring someone, you saw like what's one thing that you wish they would start doing and stop doing on their social feeds if they wanted to be able to be like a celebrity stylist?
I don't know, because it's depending upon the type of celebrity you want. Some of the kooky, funny things people like Corey Van, but me, I have celebrities who are referring people to because they all love my story, because that's when I'm like, whatever in my stories, but like on my main feed, it's just like my work. So people used to say, no, you need to go to his stories because people think I'm very quiet or reserved or, you know, which I am.
Yeah.
But I'm silly on my stories. And so I think that was the balance of that people liked about me is showing my personality, which I think people should show a little bit of their personality, a little bit of their life on their feed.
Yeah.
And I want to say less of, what do I want to say less of? I guess I want to see less of repeated content.
Okay.
Like people taking people like and recreate. I know that's not to say that's like a TikTok thing, but it's just on these Instagram feeds and stuff like that. It's just repeated things they're repetitive, that aren't necessarily related in a sense to like anything your goals.
Yeah, like you're the sixth person to kind of jump on a trend from the top that doesn't really feed the this is a good point. For working, a salon client versus editorial and celebrity at that, what are different tools and skill sets, like in terms of like whether it's more updos or whether it's more stuff that like I feel like sometimes I notice on sets things look good, but like they could never walk out on the street that way. And so like how do you balance and like how do you gain those skills to really learn how to do what's necessary for editorial?
With editorial, I feel like you have to, even it comes down to the kit. In editorial, you may see people rolling in with 3 suitcases, as opposed to your celebrity session client, it's like half a suitcase, maybe a small bag. Because when you go to editorial, you have to be open and ready to play. We bring our entire kits, every extension, color, that you wouldn't think about. For example, if I have like a Lecwec or someone who's very chocolate, who doesn't in their everyday life wear like, a 613 bleach blonde. But when we come to shoot editorially, you bring that, like you see the kookiness, the craziness, the creativity. And that's where you can explore. I have friends, we all did shows together and we all, went through different lanes. Like obviously they was like, well, you're going to go to celebrity because of your personality. But their creative eye was just, I came up with like Ebony Frosto and Lucas Wilson. Like they, Ebony does Sabrina Carpenter, and then Lucas does Addison Rae in that sense. But their editorial skills are just like, we're always just, the way they thought was just so amazing. To me, that goes back to our mentor, Jimmy. Jimmy was very 60s, very like that comb, very high up. And so that's the thing that I took from him. And it's the willingness and readiness to play.
Put to play. Okay. And what do you love to play with? Like, what's your...
My thing is wigs. They know, like, I may, one thing I learned was when I traveled the world, you go to, for example, Paris. Where they are in Paris, the industry, like that over there, they have so many beautiful wig shops, and I would take those unique wigs, buy them, and then keep them in my kit. So when you go around the world, it's good to like find different hair pieces or hair extensions you didn't see, because all over the world there's different types, and use those to play. Like I have like this braided kind of different color wig that I would never, but I saw it because in my kit, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not next month, 7 years from now, I had this kooky little piece that I can just bring out. And so my thing to play with is wigs.
Okay. In terms of extensions, when you're working with celebrities, like what are some of their favorite, whether it's methodology or clip-ins, tape, like what do they tend to love the most?
I guess it depends on the job. So for example, if it's, let's say it's award season, or money time, and you wanted something that was quick takeout, like let's clip it in, you have different things like toppers, closures, frontals. But then for certain things that are like more longer wear, like a press run or an extended time, you might want something that stays a little bit more. Cause I always tell my girls, take the clip-ins out. Cause the metal rubbing against the skin. So that's when the tape ends. You want something a little longer, you tape it in. It's the same thing, tape, and it'll last longer. You can go back to it. You just stay out of oils, things of that nature. And then if it's like a photo shoot that you didn't want to do all of that, that's when the wig will come in. So it's different methods for different things. Even the braidless, is amazing for a lot of the girls because of the fine hair and the tension of the braiding.
Yeah.
Like that was taking a lot,
You can't go for years and years. As someone who has had extensions for decades, like with sew-ins, it's like, girl,
yeah,
I had to have many. It's not gonna be much more to braid and so on if you keep that up.
yeah.
And with the concealed, it's really nice because you do have that flexibility of style, and it gives you a couple of weeks. But it also always breaks our heart when we work with celebrities or we're on sets and the agents are always like, take the extensions out. They can't have extensions. So it's like, and that's where we really wanted to work more with the coveted tape, because we're like, at least we have something that like they would be able to go on their own and take out if they needed to.
Yeah.
Question that'll...
One question, have you managed in-salon celebrity hair and time off?
So how do you manage? Yeah, how are you? Because right now you just moved.
Yes, I just moved to Atlanta.
So are you going to find like you want to open up your own salon?
I want to have like a studio space where I can take clients as I still travel. But this is very important for you to also think about yourself and not overextend yourself. My early days, I did not think about that. And so I would run myself ragged. And I always tell people, be mindful of that because it affects my relationships. Me running myself ragged, I was snappy. A lot of my friends didn't want to be around me because I kept talking about my clients all the time and they just wanted me. And so I would say, schedule time off, take time off. I knew one of my friends who we're Fashion Week stylists at the time. Like I've done like 20 seasons of Fashion Week, and her birthday is during Fashion Week. She did not care, and she was like a top person for shows. She took it off and went to she disconnected. I don't need this. I need to go away so I can be stronger, mentally stable enough for my clients. And so I take time off. I look at the calendar. Yes. Now your peak seasons, I'm not saying take it in your money times, but when you look at your calendar year and the times you have a little bit of downtime, that's when I would say try to schedule it in, but you have to take time off for yourself.
No, you do. And I think it's that's one thing I think I'm so glad you brought up. I think it's hard for especially a lot of women who are mothers or men who are following, who want to have a little bit more stability. It is hard with celebrities because there's this gauzy thin line. They're your friends. You get wrapped into their world. It's so lit, and yet you still have to feed your own garden. So how did you how did you start managing that?
At first, when you're dealing with celebrities, let's say you're just dealing with full range, but you'll weed out the ones who you see are not narcissists, who actually care about you, who actually want to think about you. And so in those times, that's kind of because it was very demanding. I've missed my birthdays and friend situations because they're like, but I'm going away that time. Also think about the type of client that you want to do. If it's an actress, she does press junket. She does, maybe go to the festival, Sundance, or, South by Southwest. If you do musicians, they're a different type of thing. Actresses, not to say they are morning people, but press is early. Musicians are different. They're night people.
Yes.
So, like just kind of knowing what kind of lane you want to go to, what type of celebrities, and kind of just like get on that wavelength a little bit, and it just make it easier for you.
That's a good point. I think it's like music has its own norms and it's very like a little bit
chaotic.
But if you're a successful actress, you actually have to be very disciplined. You have early call times, are used to being on schedule, and things get scheduled in advance. There's so much money behind that. So that's an interesting call. Do you have a preference for one or the other?
So I want to say I'm not a night person. I've literally, when I was even younger, I was in the club going to sleep. Like it's like 9 o'clock. So I realized it's just actresses worked for me. The person I used with actresses, we get along, I'm doing, Karen Pittman, who's on Just Like That. Like I love me some Karen.
Yeah.
And I just get in the jig. I'm a morning person. I can rise up, and do what I need to do. And music was chaotic and it's a little bit different for me. I've done a tour. I've done a tour with, one of my favorite artists who I love, which is Ava Max. And we did Europe and Jingle Ball and all this other stuff. But the night thing was really wearing me out, So I realized actresses, I love working with actors.
It's such a good perspective just to be able to know that there are many ways to skin a cat.
Right. So in terms of like when you were getting started, what was one thing that really like actually paid off and was helpful to getting you to where you were, and what was something that the opposite that sounds really great but really there's not a great payoff?
I'd say award season is a great payoff.
Okay.
Some things about Fashion Week are not a great payoff. Like you really want to think about who you're under and who shows you're doing, and certain times like it's not a great, like you should never be paying paying to be a part of a team. You should never be like not getting paid, like, so it's like things like sometimes Fashion Week cannot be a payoff because Fashion Week can burn you out and make you maybe hate hair or hate the industry, but it's because you have to pace yourself.
Yeah.
And not picking up every show and not picking up every, you have to learn to say no to certain things. And so the payoff wasn't as great for me sometime with Fashion Week. That's why now the way I do it now is different. You can be behind the scenes assisting on shows, but I still do shows, but now I do girls who attend the show and sit front row. So I used to go to Paris and we used to do Celine. I used to go to Italy. We used to do Ferragamo. And now, I'm doing girls who are going to Celine. I'm doing girls like I love Dior because Dior keep booking me, so I'm doing girls who go into the Dior show now, which is a little different because now I'm creating a look. It's a little bit part of the fashion because, they're getting sent the clothes, but now I'm creating a look based off what I think it should be.
And are brand sponsorships a part of the Fashion Week as much as they are award season? What would you say is?
Well, because now so many brands, have hair companies. So it's like you're doing the Balmain show, but they have, their own hair. But how I did is I went along with it. I'm from doing someone who won the Balmain, I have the Balmain products, which, I love as well. And so if I have someone who's going, to another show, you still can do it, but it's more lucrative and, during.
To be strategic.
Yeah.
You've had a lot of strategic approach to this.
Yeah.
Which I think is very commendable, and like kind of being able to do the research, do it wise, do it once. In terms of finding an agent, like let's say, you just want to get started. How would you suggest someone approach an agent, or do you feel that they should try to book on their own first and build up the way you did?
No, I feel like if you have some body of work and you feel confident in yourself, I really think if you want to take like not saying the lower route, but you can get on an assistance list, and an agent might be like assistance list. You should be maybe on the artist development board, not maybe an artist yet, but it's like little things that you can ask to be a part of. Meet with an agent, pick their brain, the ones who are open to it. Like, well, what do you think I should have in my book? Because you're such a great, block them up a little bit. You're such a great agent. I love the people you represent, and show it like, what should I have more of in my book? I always had a diversity of styles, whether they try to put you in a box because the industry would. I could have a book of blowouts and they're like, hey, we're going to hire you to braid. There's no braiding in my book. What? Like, and it's just so crazy. I would literally pick the brain of the agent. There's so many agents out there. They're junior agents, and just pick their brain.
And this is like a DM, an email.
It could be so I like the agents that I know, because I still DM, like the Wall Group is an expansive agent. So I'm still, like finding different, like I talk to the ones in London because I want to work more, in Europe. So I'm still talking to agents, getting in their DMs. I know we're a part of the same agency and family, but
No, but I think it's like, and that is the gatekeepers have been leveled with social media and, just the ability to show your work and then do some research and tag who was tagged for what and stuff like that.
How do you get in touch with an agent is one thing you can use is LinkedIn, because that's going to detail where they are. That's why certain artists are using LinkedIn again, because it's a way to get yourself out there. Models.com is a huge resource for me. The agencies are listed, and you can sometimes the agencies won't have the agent's name, but you can kind of like I said, LinkedIn, Google, the agency, and it might pull up in Instagram. They're listing who their rep, like in that form. Look up the agency, look up who the agency may be following, and that might show you the agents about the agency.
Yeah, it's like put your Insta stalking skills to work.
Detective. Yes, the tagging. Yes.
Spend a good hour a week if you like something. I used to always say too, is like have a dedicated day a week. Mine was always Tuesday, where I used to call it planting seeds.
Yes.
When I was getting started, that was I would email, and no matter how big, I was going to plant a seed, not be attached to it, DM someone, email someone, just feel like I'm a big fan. I would love a chance to talk to you. Daily it compounds. Eventually something happens with it. Okay, so if you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
If I could go back and give my younger self, a piece of advice, I would say, you are enough. Because coming up as a person, even getting mentors, they may say things that may rattle you. A lot of them may clothe you with their insecurities. You don't take those on. Even assisting, that's not your project. You're helping and being an aid. A lot of us will take on, oh my God, like the burden of this and that, and they're, stress-free. Like, this isn't my project. You have to not wear the burdens of other people, be kind to yourself. It's a learning process. We just talked about me signing up for Covet in May. I'm 15 years in the industry. And it's because what happened is, what I did, I was bored. And as a hairstylist, up your skills. And so this is a type of extension method I didn't know how to do. I'm a hairstylist. Why not add it to my resume? So that's why I came here. And then I saw the whole community, and it's like, other people now doesn't want to do that. Now they want to do, K-tips. That's like a big thing. That's great for, red carpets and stuff because of the flexibility. And to be really kind to yourself, because you're always evolving, you're always growing, so yeah.
No, I think I love that. And I always say that. It's like, I wish I could go back and say, you're enough.
Yeah. Like, just keep going, taking the steps. And I also love how you said it's not that. I think sometimes people, when they're young, they take on the stress of this level ahead of them, or like they take on the owner's stress. They take on, the person who actually got booked. The art of being an assistant is that are just here to
So,
You're not
the A.
the eyes are not on you, and use that to learn instead of like absorbing it.
Exactly.
Then, well, my other question was going to be for you already answered it is why is education and professionalism so important? So we won't begrudge that anymore. But I'm going to just throw a curveball at you because it's a big mission of mine for this year with us with education. We're talking about why is texture so important for all stylists to know?
It's important because when I come from a black salon and that's what it was, but then I came to New York and all the different textures and stuff like that, it changed me to stop looking at people through race. Because if you turn the client around, and the reason why I say that doing girls from all over the world, you've had white girls like, are you sure you white? Because their hair is so kinky. And then you see black girls with really straight hair and Indian girls. So I had to stop thinking about taking race. I only look at texture. I judge you by texture. This is fine. This is medium. This is coarse. This is, wavy. This is curly. This is straight. And regardless of what turn you around, I just want to see the back of the hair. And I think it's important because you have to work with all different types of textures. And if you notice, if you were into healthy hair care, most people, especially because we are mixing so much, most people have 2 to 3 different textures on their head. So you might have to work different things, on different people. And so it's really, really, really important to know all different types of textures of hair.
Yeah, no, I was shocked when we sat. It was like 60% of the world's population has textured hair.
That's material.
So it's like to limit yourself to 40%. It's crazy.
It's crazy.
So I hope you guys enjoyed. This was honestly just like me indulging my own personal wish list of speaking with you. It's been such a pleasure to work with you as well. Working with the brand, working with you with different celebrities, and then now having you as a part of our community. So thank you so much for being a part of our thing. And thank you guys who joined and asked great questions. This was really fun. So thank you so much.
Thank you.